Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this bullet journal flip through video. I cannot believe we're at the end of the year, but I'm gonna try not to mush too much, and instead we'll just flip through and talk through my bullet journal. So I have been bullet journaling consistently every single month for the last 2 years. I don't use them for like daily pages, but I do use it for monthly planning, weekly planning, and all of that stuff. So here we go. Let's get started. So very first thing, I have a little quote page. My quote of the year was, "The very things that hold you down are going to lift you up," and that is from Dumbo. And so I did a somewhat minimal situation at the beginning of this bullet journal. I went with like a blue and like a light blue and then like a yellow. And we have some quotes, so "Don't just fly, soar." That was also from Dumbo, and that was I was very into that quote for the second half of the year, and this one for the first half of the year. There's a grid spacing guide that I don't think I ever looked at, not once. I did have a future log. This would have been more helpful, I think, if we didn't have COVID and there were actually things happening. But I did love my goal spread, although I never bothered to fix the fact that I wrote 2020 instead of 2021, and yeah, just never fixed it. So that happened. But I taped some pages together to make this cool fold out thing, which some of you were very curious about, why. Because it's cool and I really enjoyed it, and because of that I was able to really separate the different areas of my life and the different places that I needed to have goals, and I like to do that to make sure that I'm kind of making sure that I'm just, keeping on track of all sorts of different things, because I got a lot going on in life. After that, some of the most helpful spreads are these content ideas for all the different content that I do. So for Becca's Music Room, if you're newer on here, I have a blog/YouTube channel called Becca's Music Room where I help music teachers. And then I have one called Becca Davis where I help TPT sellers, so people who are selling to teachers, because that's what I do on my Becca's Music Room. And then I also have a Becca's Bible class one, so same kind of thing, but Bible lessons. And then I also have this one because I'm a crazy person. So in my Becca Davis YouTube, I found that the most helpful thing was actually to use these sticky notes to just stick in here, because that's what I put on my content calendar. So if I put my idea on the sticky note, then I can just rip it right off and stick it onto my calendar. This is also one of my absolute favorite, just mind mapping. These are a whole bunch of ideas that I came up with that could move my business forward if I, were to do them. I obviously was not planning on doing all of them in this year because that is insane. But one of my favorite things is getting to the end of the week or the month and flipping to this page and checking off things that I have done. It is excellent, and yes, it is color coded, as you'll see that pretty much everything is. So blue is for Becca's Music Room, green or yellow is for Becca's Bible class, pink is for YouTube, and this channel did not exist until a couple weeks ago, so it didn't have a color. It does now, by the way. You're pink now, and the other YouTube channel is now orange, because they're close enough that I can tell they're both YouTube, but they're different. This was one of the most helpful spreads I made. This is just literally boxes with the names of each of the months, but I was able to go through and think through what I would need to do in each month, and it was so helpful. So I could say oh, hey, I need to batch blog posts in this month, and then I can kind of plan around that. So I know that if I'm batching blog posts, I'm going to get a lot less done, and so then I can change things. And if you're wondering about the hand gestures, I did have audio, but it was messed up, so the hand gestures do not match what I'm saying. It's okay. But that is a very helpful spread that I will continue. My cello and miles were not very helpful spreads. I did play my cello and I did run more miles than 5, but I did not write them down. So there's that. My book tracker spread, also very, very helpful. These are actually printables in my Becca's Bible class TBT shop. So if you want to get those, I will link them down below. They're really, really cheap. And I did that in particular because I just didn't want to draw all of these books. Now, next year, I think what I want to do is, number one, I need more space for nonfiction than for fiction, because I read way more nonfiction than fiction. The nonfiction's on the right and the fiction is on the left. So you can see there's a lot more empty books on the left. And then the other thing is I think I want to coordinate it a little bit better. So maybe having like a color for each month, so I can see like all the books I finished in January are blue and all the ones I finished in February are pink or whatever. I also have the same things, but for the Old and New Testament books. I did read more than just the 2, I promise. I just didn't mark them down. So next year, I think I will be a little bit better on that little situation. I have a lot of these little paper airplanes because that was like my theme, and making them out of the sticky notes was very, very easy. So again, I will link these, and then the blank ones come together. So I'll link those down below. My bucket list last year was really, really useful, and I used a lot. And this year I did not use it a lot, which, you know what? I'm again going to blame on COVID. So there's that. I didn't even finish all of the things. My bucket list I reserve for things that are not like goals or projects, but just things I want to do to help me be more intentional. So places I want to go, things I want to do, which again, COVID, things were shut down. So that's pretty much why. I did my habits for the first 6 months on this double spread, which I actually really, really liked. Obviously, I petered out. I get really not so great at the habits once we get to like May and June, and I'm like done with school and feeling done. So there's that. But I liked having them on one thing instead of like throughout the months. This blog post planner is super helpful. I just wrote down all of the dates where I would be posting a blog post, and then I just wrote down the name of said blog post, and I use my favorite Friction pens, which by the way are erasable, so that if I change my mind, which I often do, then I can just erase it. And then with that, I will do 1 check when a blog post is written and 2 checks when it is completely finished, like it is scheduled, the pictures are on there, all the links are in, and all of that kind of stuff, so that I can keep track of like what is done and what is close to being done. And now we're on to January. So January, I did this pretty simple theme. It's got like little birch trees and then like a light blue. This is the main thing I use my bullet journal for, is for planning. At the beginning of the year, I was using it for my gratitude. So every day I write down 10 things I'm grateful for. And then halfway through the year, I had the brilliant idea to just put it in my planner, because I use my planner for actual like day-to-day tasks. And along with that, I have like a notes page, and so I'm able to write it in there, so that just saved me some time. In February, I did these little hearts on strings. It was again a very simple little thing. There are a few months I went a little crazy, but for the most part, especially at the beginning, I was like, let's just make life easy, especially right here, because we were like distance learning, just went back to the classroom after having been home for months, and then we were hybrid, and it was crazy town. So that's what we've got going on. Each month I do pretty much the same thing for my planning section. I will list each of the different areas of my business, and then usually other for anything else, and I will write down tasks underneath them, and then I will have weeks of planning where I will write down those tasks onto the different weeks, so that I can just keep track of everything, and I color coordinate everything so that I can see them. March was one of my favorite spreads. I loved this green and gold and all the quotes about luck, and I added in some like not quite craft paper, but just like a yellowy paper that just added some character. And this was really, really easy because it's literally just like little leaves, and then some of them are gold instead of green. Super easy. Really great. Highly would recommend. You could even do like different colors if you wanted to do something else that was similar. I usually use these break planners really, really well, but for spring break, y'all, I was like, I'm so tired. I just want to like lay here and do nothing. And that's pretty much what I did over spring break. Partially because my car was broken down and my husband was out of town, and so I literally couldn't leave the house. In March, I started doing reflections pages, which I kind of went back and forth about whether or not I use them throughout the year, but I do actually like them. And then I did a Q2 planning page, which this was something I kept. I absolutely loved it. Next year I might do these at the front of the bullet journal. I don't know if it's better at the front or if it's better like where it comes from. I also was updating my Level Up Your Teacher Business course and creating it was originally going to be content marketing, then it changed to my blogging course. So I was going to write my notes here, and I did not. So there's that. Sometimes you think things are going to be great, and then they're not. In April, I went with this like very pastel-y thing. You saw me trying to open it because I messed up on the original cover page, hated it so much that I glued those pages together, and that's why, and I forgot about it, which is why we're here. This little quote is from Princess and the Frog, so it's the only way you get what you want in the world is through hard work. And in April, I started trying a different version of color coding, and I changed it, and now I like it, but in April I did not like it because I didn't quite have a grip on it yet. I have these little flowers going through, and then we're on to May. So May was like bright, leafy, all the colors. Let's be done with school, because that year was just, it was rough. It was real rough. And I really enjoyed this spread. It was just like, I tend to like the bright colors quite a bit. Just, you know, it was happy. It was fun. It was a great time. I used my reflection, you can see, in May, and then in June I did this like citrusy theme, which I also really, really, really loved. It was just so much fun. I went back and forth about whether or not to use a calendar all year, so some months have them, some don't. Here I had my summer bucket list, so these were mostly like fun things I wanted to do so I didn't forget about them. I did not use the reflections pages in June, but I do use them some other times. In July, I went back to with like the original theme of the bullet journal with that Don't Just Fly Soar and the little paper airplanes. This was a really easy theme, which is good because July was so busy. Like I went back to work at the very, very end of July, but it was so busy. I had my Kodai course. We went on vacation. Like I was launching the blogging course. Like there was just so much happening. Then you can see I have more planning pages. I ended up redoing those. And then we're on to August. In August, I did this like ocean-y theme, and full disclosure, I was going to paint little watercolor turtles and paste them in on the waves, and it never happened. So there's that. September, though, was one of my absolute favorites. It was the most time consuming, also the most fun, and I just loved it. I went with this like jungly theme, so I have these flamingos in a lagoon, and I have a toucan, and that piece never quite got glued in. And my quote is from Mary Poppins, and it says, "There's a whole world at your feet," which I just love. We have another flamingo on the other page. I did not like this smaller calendar as much as I liked the larger calendar that I used other times. Didn't use the reflections, but I do have my little toucan guy, so he was cute. I have a page of planning for like fall products. I didn't do much to this except use like fall colors, because I just want to keep on track of those things. And then Q4 planner, so you can see on one side I have like the tasks, and then on the other side I have them broken down by month. And then on to October. October is one of my favorites because it's my birthday, so you know that's always nice. And I went with these like colorful pumpkins, which I really, really enjoyed. I did a similar theme last year. I used that small calendar again, which not a huge fan, but I do like the pumpkins. I love the colors. I think they're fun and kind of unexpected, and yeah, so we've got that going for us. In November, I really wanted to do like the fall color. So these are actually watercolor. I literally just like put some splatters of yellow and orange and a little bit of red, and then I drew some leaves on top of them with pen once it had dried. I liked this. It was very simple and very easy. However, you do have to wait for the paint to dry, so that takes a little bit longer. Also, you can see I didn't wait for the paint to totally dry, so there's some spots where it's kind of soaked through. I changed up my planning a little bit, so I started doing like 10 main goals, and so I have the 10 goals and then like the different tasks for each of the different areas of my business. And then I started using my calendar for tasks, so actually planning out like this is what I'm going to do this day, this day, and this day. And that was super, super, super helpful. I am continuing that. I loved it. It was great. Very, very helpful just to like keep track of everything, especially when you have a lot going on, and I will probably continue that. So large calendar with those things written in. The reason the last week is empty is because that was Thanksgiving break, so I didn't really want to plan anything on break, although I did do some work, but I didn't want to plan to do work on break. So you can see, like I said, Thanksgiving is the only thing on there. I did end up filling out these reflections, by the way. When I filmed this, it was not even the end of November yet, so I was still working on them there. I have no idea what I'm saying right here. Hopefully it wasn't important. Oh, I was telling you how I do my plan. I go by I have that like monthly plan. So I did like my quarterly plan, and then I go to the monthly plan, and then they transfer to the weekly plan, and that transfer to the daily tasks. Now I'm telling you that I did, the reflections. I just hadn't done them yet, but now they're done. I promise. I also had a winter and holiday products and content spread to help me keep on track of all of those things. I did not do all of these. They're mostly ideas, and a lot of them are moving to next year, and that's fine. You're allowed to do that. But, I finished that Nutcracker virtual field trip, and y'all, that thing was a beast. So I really wanted a giant check mark there because I worked my butt off on that one. I also did use my Thanksgiving break planner. This time it was super, super, super helpful. I didn't check everything off, but I did use it as a basis. And now we're into December. So this isn't all filled out because I actually did this plan. I literally set it up, and then I turned off the camera and I turned it back on and did this flip through. But I did this gingerbread theme for December, which I love because gingerbread cookies are my favorite. One of the kids asked me the other day, Miss Davis, what's your favorite part about Christmas? And I was like, the cookies. And they laughed at me, and I was like, no, but I'm serious. I love gingerbread. It's my favorite thing in the world. And so I've got my gingerbread house. I have my Haul Out the Holly because we need a little Christmas. That was my jam last year. I did the giant calendar again and have been using it and loving it. It's been really, really, really helpful to keep on track of things and to plan out kind of, the whole week. After that, I put my 10 biggest goals for this month and then separate out all of the different tasks to go on the other side. And then I have my week by week layout, and then we have some fun Christmassy things. So here's my Christmas bucket list. I am making some progress. There also includes some videos, not a ton, because originally I was like, we're not going to do that many videos. And then my husband was like, let's watch all the movies. So I could have done a longer movie list, but I just have a couple on here. I had a really hard time with this spread because I live in Georgia where it's hot. And so most people's bucket lists are build a snowman, make a snow angel, go ice skating. And I'm none of those things are happening down here in Savannah. But you know what? It's okay. I have a little Christmas ornament title and a simple little gingerbread man. And then on the next page, I have my present planner. If I'll flip, please flip back up. This is the downside to recording over your audio. I'm I don't know what you're saying or why you're still sitting there. But then we have our present planner. So this one was kind of ironic because by the time I made this, I had actually bought all of my husband's presents. So I really didn't need that side. But I liked the little gifts. Those are simple. And I've been coloring them in as they have been completed. So once the present is here and it is wrapped, I color in that present box so I can see, what's done and what I'm still working on and all of that good stuff. After that, I have my December reflections, and I will be adding a few more things in here, planning for the new year and trying to figure out what I want in my new bullet journal and that kind of stuff, but I haven't gotten quite that far yet. If you enjoy this, please make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button. I have my whole December setup available on this channel as well, so I'll link that down below, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!